Today's art lesson is called an Origami Seascape. So this is my Origami Seascape, and to understand this art lesson, our goal is to not only know what origami is, but also understand how to create a seascape, which is kind of like a landscape, but mostly just the ocean, because we're going to be making our sailboats out of origami. So, you can tell just from looking at my landscape, this is the background. The background is all the space around the sailboats. In my background, I have a horizon line, I have a sunset, and I have the ocean. Now, the sunset I painted using watercolor paints and tempera cakes, and I used only the warm colors. So we also want to understand about color in art. Now, another word for color is called a hue, and you can see my hues are very intense because I wanted it to look real. And down at the bottom, I use colors that are called cool colors. Those are blue and green mostly, but a little bit of white to create value. So the elements of art that we're using are color, which is also called hue, value, and then we're also studying shapes to make our origami sailboats. So to get started, you need a thick piece of paper, either watercolor paper, or you can also use thick, heavyweight white paper. You always write your name first on your paper, and then on the front, you need to draw your horizon line. Now, we want the ocean to take up most of the space on our paper, so we're also studying space. So the ocean, like I said, we want the ocean to take up most of the space. So this time, the horizon line, we're going to draw near the top of the page. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line that goes all the way across.
Ice cream.
Yeah. Now I have a little bit of room for a sunset. And if you wanted, you could get really creative and add a little island over here. Here is one that I painted when I added a lighthouse. No, thank you. I added a lighthouse and rocks and seashells. So you can add anything you want as long as your horizon line is close to the sky. So once I've drawn the horizon line, then we need a cup of water. And I like to get a big paintbrush and small paintbrushes for smaller details. The technique that we're using to paint is called wet on wet. And we also want to use a principle of art called movement. So when you paint your waves, you want your brush strokes to go across, and you want to get the paper kind of wet with water first. So right now, all I'm painting with is water, and I'm painting across.
What are you painting?
I'm painting an ocean, and I want to create movement.
The ocean?
Now, once I've gotten the paper wet, I'm going to take my paintbrush, and this is a nice turquoise blue, which is a light color of blue. I also have these paints called tempera cakes. These are
blue.
Yeah, blue. These are darker blue.
The blue.
So I'm going to start. I like to start with the lighter colors first, and that's a very light blue. So I'm going to paint some waves. Now, usually in a landscape, the colors get.
River, Mom?
It's the ocean.
Yes, the ocean.
The colors get lighter as you get closer to the horizon line. So they're a little bit darker.
Like a mermaid.
In this part of your,
swim.
you could draw a mermaid. But I want the colors to be darker in the foreground. The foreground is the part that's closer to you. So I'm going to take the dark blue paint and I'm going to stir it up with some water. And that's the tempera paint. And you can see it's a different shade of blue. Now, if you wanted to add some white waves, you could definitely mix a little bit of white paint to make a tint. But make sure that your brush strokes are going across the page. If you want the colors to be darker, use less water. So I want to fill the page, and I want the colors darker at the bottom. Now I'm going to wash out my paintbrush and I'm going to paint the sunset using warm colors. Warm colors are next to each other, and when colors are next to each other, they're kind of related, like a family. So I'm going to start using the small paintbrush. And if your paintbrush is clean, the sun should look yellow, not green. Have at least 3 sailboats on your paper. I want one big sailboat that's going to look like it's close to you, a medium-sized sailboat, and then I want you to make a little teeny tiny sailboat. Now, there are 2 different ways that you can make a sailboat. This is Origami Sailboat number 1. It has 4 steps. You can also try Origami Sailboat number 2, which has 8 steps. It's up to you. If you've never done origami, you might want to just try the one with 4 steps because that one is a lot easier to do. So to start origami usually need to have a square piece of paper to make your origami. Now you could use white paper, or I have some paper that has patterns on it like this. Most are origami, you need to have a square piece of paper. This paper is a rectangle. So I can fold the paper in half, and I can use my scissors to cut across the middle to make white sailboats. Now this isn't a square either, this is a rectangle, but I can turn it into a square by folding the corner over to the side to make a triangle, cutting off the bottom rectangle, and then I have a perfect square. To start with sailboat number 1, you've already folded your paper into a triangle. Origami, it's important to make your corners match and to make a sharp crease when you fold. Once you have your triangle, to make origami sailboat number 1, you're going to open it up and you should be able to see a vertical line down the middle. Once you fold that vertical line over, you want to take the corners and fold them into that line. Once you fold those in, it already starts to look like a sailboat. These are the sails. Then I'm going to take the bottom one and fold it up. That triangle is going to go up. Then I'm going to fold it one more time, and ta-da, there's my sailboat. Now you can decorate these and color them and write the name of your sailboat or draw windows. It's up to you. Get creative because a regular old white sailboat doesn't look as good as a designed one. Now my other sailboats, I want to have 2 more sailboats. They need to be smaller. This one's going to be near the bottom in the foreground because it's going to look like it's close to you. The other 2 are going to be back here, so we need to make them smaller. Because when things are smaller in a landscape, they look like they're far away from you. So I'm going to take my smaller square. Good job. I'm going to fold it in half to make a triangle. Then I'm going to fold both corners up to the top, just like this. Now I'm going to open up, this is sailboat number 2, open up the corners and take the top flap. I'm going to fold 1 flap down, 1 flap back. Once I have that shape, let's see, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, some kind of quadrilateral. I'm going to fold the corners up again, just like this. Kind of looks like a flower. I'm going to turn it over, and here's my sailboat almost done, but I need a straight horizontal line at the bottom. So I'm going to fold that up, and there is my small sailboat. Now I'm going to make 1 more small sailboat. You can try to see if you can make one even smaller. I'm going to make one really small. So I'm going to fold this one over and make a very small square. Now I'm going to open it up and I'm going to do sailboat number 1, the easier one. So I'm going to fold these 2 sides in, fold this one up and up again, and there's my small sailboat. So now I have big, medium, and small, and it really looks like they're sailing on the ocean because I created movement. So good luck making your origami seascape. Remember, origami is the ancient art of folding paper. And there's 2 different sailboats. Try your best to do either one that you think is easiest for you and glue them on and decorate them and then put them on the drying rack. So have fun making your seascape.